Susan Rothenberg was born in Buffalo, in New York in 1945. She received a BFA from Cornell University. Her early work, large acrylic figurative paintings, came to prominence in the 1970s New York art world, a time and place almost completely dominated and defined by the minimalist aesthetics and theories. The first body of work for which Rothenberg became known centered on life-size images of horses, glyph-like and iconic. These images are not so much abstracted as pared down to their most essential elements. The horses, along with the fragmented parts such as heads, eyes, and hands, are almost totemic, like primitive symbols, and serve as formal elements through which Rothenberg investigated the meaning, mechanics, and essence of painting. Rothenberg's paintings since the 1990s reflect her move from New York to New Mexico, her adoption of oil painting, and her newfound interest in using the memory of observed and experienced events like riding an accident or near-fatal bee sting as an armature for the creating of a painting. These scenes excerpted from daily life, whether highlighting an untoward event or a moment of remembrance, come to life through Rothenberg's thickly layered and nervous brushwork. A distinctive characteristic of these paintings is a tilted perspective in which the vantage point is located high above the ground. A common experience in the New Mexico landscape, this unexpected perspective invests the work with an eerily objective psychological edge. Susan Rothenberg received a fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Skowhegan Medal for painting. She has had one-person exhibitions at Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, Dallas Museum of Art, Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles County Museum of Art, Museum of Contemporary Art, Chicago, Walker Art Center, Minneapolis, and Tate Gallery, London, among others. First Horse was the first of many. Rothenberg's 1970s works often involve images of horses or parts of horses, but saying her artworks are pictures of horses does not quite do them justice. They are just as much pictures of emotional states of thought experiments. Another painting of Susan is called Horse Running or the Dust Devil, where it has the leg of a horse floating on its side near one edge of the canvas, almost kicking out at the viewer. Chunky, fiery, orange hunks of paint from the hoof which hovers in front of the two huge pale melon forms the dust devils spiraling in place. It is a touch imposing and absolutely exhilarating. Another creation of Susan Rothenberg is a painting of a snowman caught in a snowstorm where big hunks of snow flowing over the picture. It is about as far from the desert as you can get, and it's the one work that Rothenberg made in a studio where she and Norman still keep in the East Village. While making it, she said she felt like she was a child back in Buffalo, New York, where she grew up in a place that knows snowstorms. She wavered on the painting quite a bit, uncertain whether it was worth keeping, uncertain whether it was done. Another painting of Susan Rothenberg is the Pink Raven. Its talons just barely touch a thick line which may be a branch, and its sharp beak with its little black eye is hunched down, as if it's stalking or chomping on something. Though her birds feel remarkably real, she doesn't use photographs to study them. Susan's one prominent painting is the Caribbean, where two heads bob above the aquamarine water just beneath a sloping field of black that sets the painting off its axis that makes it spin. According to Susan, it is the painting where she got into a health problem. She was vacationing with her daughter on an island when it happened. Rothenberg has consistently avoided following the main trends of contemporary art, though her work has been widely influential since the 1970s. She began her career as one of the so-called New Imagists, painters of the mid-1970s, working to find a new space between abstraction and representation. Her inclusion of representational figures is typically so spare and iconic and concerned with light, color, and surface that it has been favorably described as being closer to minimalism than realism. Rothenberg focused on how she could differentiate forms on the canvas without using the illusions of positive presence or negative space, using horses as a familiar jumping-off point for experimentation. Consequently, her works tend to have a flat, matte sensibility, and other of her images can be read as both compositions of abstract shapes and representations of specific subjects. What followed in Rothenberg's painting are perplexed critics. A more complex process evolved from the dismemberment of the images of horses. She reconciled highly formalist statements about painting process with images of very high anxiety, who offsets decorum with blunt emotion. Although Rothenberg's recent studio interiors and interviews imply a casual, almost chaotic approach to art making, her actual paintings reveal quite the reverse. There is a powerful psychological process and engagement with subject, material, and self. She has continually maintained the images grow out of the medium, that they are an elemental reaction between her nervous system and her unconscious. She is also rebellious, amusing, and mischievous. It is possible to intellectualize Rothenberg's work against the background of the prevalent rhetoric that surrounds abstraction and figuration. However, it is the physicality of her works that one feels closely involved with.